Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's up, dude?
On the 6, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right, we're back, dude.
We are back.
Part two
of the NAT discussion, and we have an update.
Pretty big one, yeah. Which, if you watched our last 20-minute video, you're already clued in. But maybe you don't like those. I don't blame you. It's 20 minutes not good enough. Maybe I'm on the treadmill. I need at least an hour of content.
Full hour of NAT discussions.
Yeah, that's more treadmill compatible.
Yeah.
I can get in. How many miles can you do in an hour?
A lot of miles.
Like what? Like
You
8?
can do like 10 miles in an hour.
Not me. Not me, but yeah, I believe you. There's others out there that inclined. That's pretty good.
That is good. That's really, really good.
Spend an hour just running nonstop. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, while you do that, you should be listening to these podcasts.
Correct.
And yeah, because we're gonna clue you in, essentially to, I don't know, what's seemingly becoming a much bigger deal whenever we talk about NAT. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had a thesis, and we were like, let's run this thesis and see what happens, and it's happening.
Yeah, that was my tweet today in response to the Spiderpool announcement. Simply that. It's happening.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk? Like, that's all. That was the only thing that came to my mind. Like, I can't believe it. It's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Weird.
what is happening? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. What is it?
All right. So Spiderpool announced a partnership announcement with Tap Protocol to integrate additional miner rewards via DMT NAT token per block. That's what happened. So Spiderpool, the 5th biggest miner in Bitcoin, they have acknowledged NAT, and they're going to integrate. So what does integrate mean? Well, I guess Spiderpool has a bunch of pool suppliers, right? Hash suppliers, and they have a dashboard.
Spiderlings, if you will.
Yeah.
I just gave them a name. Sounds cool. I'm envisioning like a big web. You got the mama spider.
Correct, yeah.
And then you got all these little, the thousands of little tiny spiders on its back.
That's exactly what the website looks like.
No.
No, it doesn't.
Oh. Damn it. I was about to say, that's the coolest mining company ever, dude.
Yeah, so they have the dashboard, and in the dashboard, it says Bitcoin, and you can extract the Bitcoin that you've earned by supplying hash power. But right next to it is going to say NAT.
Yeah.
And you can extract NAT from within the dashboard.
Yeah, which requires a little bit of technical finagling, right? Which is why Tap Protocol and the team of Benny is involved, right?
Correct, yeah.
Which this is actually industry scale adoption happening before our eyes.
Yeah, and they have, it's not publicly known, but maybe they have around 10,000 or so contributors to the pool, right? Because they have 7% of the supply, and I think Via BTC has like a million contributors. And so 7% of that, 70,000. And so
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows the true figures, but it's a lot. It potentially could be a lot of, once this dashboard starts to hit, the web here.
Yeah.
The spider web.
Yeah.
Who knows how many of them will actually claim, but over time, let's say it's 50,000. That expands the holder base pretty significantly.
Yeah. Not only that, I mean, people get exposure to a second subsidy, which is unheard of.
Yeah, and I think that's going to, perpetuate the conversation a bit, around like, NAT fulfilling, the entering into the conversation at least of like, because this is a very long-standing conversation among the Bitcoin community. We've only been like real hard participants for about 2.5 years now.
Yeah, through ordinals.
Yeah, because of ordinals, it was like a
spammers.
We're the graffiti guys, right?
Yeah.
We're the Banksies or whatever you want to call them.
I'll take the Banksy.
We've tarnished Bitcoin forever.
Yeah.
In case he started it all, but yeah. But Bitcoin's obviously been around much longer than that, and this has been part of the conversations probably all the way back in 2010, 2011.
Well, Satoshi's first transaction was not inscription, but like information in the opcodes.
Yeah.
Right? It says Chancellor on the brink of collapse.
Yeah. That's what people are pointing to as far as like in opposition to the knots.
Yeah, that was in the first block of Bitcoin. Graffiti.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk?
Yeah, that's a whole other separate conversation.
Yeah.
Which again, it seems to be festering. We've talked about it already.
Yeah,
the NOTs versus core thing.
Yeah, people like to get heated about it. To me, I'm indifferent because I know how the system works, and it works on money and incentives. And the miners will run whatever node makes them the most money, and that's it. It could be NOTs or it could be core. They'll run the one that makes them the most money. But I suspect it's not NOTs.
Well, if it's NOTs, then what does that mean if you're a miner running NOTs?
That means you're processing money transactions, and that's about it.
So all this other stuff is just like literally filtered out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's not going to happen.
Especially we suspect it's not going to happen.
Yeah, just by if you understand the dilemma at foot. So yeah, if you don't think there's a problem with Bitcoin from an economics perspective, and the security budget, it's an acceptable state for it to be in a continual decline.
Yeah.
Under the reality, the assumption that the market cap only must go higher.
Yeah.
Right. Which is right now currently being pitched to the United States government. It's because of this, this foretold immutable annual compounding growth rate.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it needs to be centerpieced within the future financial mold of society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you, United States, you're the one who's been the molder of financial state of things for the last 100 years, and you've benefited greatly from that. Here's your opportunity to do it all over again.
That's right.
Which is what Michael Saylor and friends are right now pitching as like a strategic Bitcoin reserve strategy.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that implies a lot of things, right?
Yeah, and it implies that if we're going to continue this growth rate and Bitcoin doesn't really have a security budget problem, therefore you're anticipating Bitcoin every 4 years to double to at least maintain the current security budget, which even if it does double, you still have a problem. Even if we do get to $53 trillion per Bitcoin in 2140, you still have a major problem. Why? Because all you did was maintain the current day security budget, which is around $20 to $26 billion per year. So how are you securing with $26 billion a $1.7 septillion market cap? How are you doing that?
You're not.
You're not, exactly.
Essentially not at all.
I mean, it's not even a penny securing a multi-septillion dollar market cap.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is the fundamental flaw in this economic design. So long as you assume it is like incentives driven, right?
Yeah.
The operation of maintaining security of the network is purely based on incentives. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's acceptable for Bitcoin to remain as like a sound money device to not be dependent on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
but there's trade-offs.
Yeah, that means that you got to change the underlying protocol. Maybe it needs to turn into a proof of stake.
Yeah, you could do that. Or again, you allow these centralized actors who have a much greater vested interest to be the now new maintainers of the task of increasing the security threshold forever to maintain this semblance of like minimum viability, I guess, in the context of technology energy efficiency.
Yeah, deflationary aspect.
Yeah, so governments can do that for sure, but again, there's trade-offs to that. It's like now Bitcoin is
centralized,
government owned.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like,
so maybe people are okay with that.
I think a lot of people probably would be okay with that.
Yeah, they only care about their number go up technology. They don't care how it's done as long as it's done in one form or another. In this case, if we do nothing and Bitcoin, let's say, does double, right? We do get the $53 trillion market cap, but it's a completely centralized network. Some people are completely okay with that.
Yeah.
But I suspect that the reason why we're here in the early days of Bitcoin, that's not why you're here.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a question. So the more and more we've been thinking about this, right? Because, we've been writing this NATpaper for damn near a month now.
Yeah.
Back and forth is because I remember originally we wanted it to be like way shorter than what it is. We just wanted it to be like, just put it out there, dude. Like it's just the meat.
Yeah.
No potatoes. But there's like tons of potatoes we sprinkled into we got potatoes, we got carrots, we got asparagus on the side. Right. It's all there now, right? Because the more we talk about NAT in the context of what purpose does it actually serve within the context of what Bitcoin is, you go down these philosophical rabbit holes to try and even answer that question. And then you start to envision like the reality moving forward without NAT. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then, it looks bleak from the perspective of like, what Bitcoin was originally intended to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem likely that it ends up being that.
And originally, I mean, Bitcoin was supposed to be this peer-to-peer cash. And I think it would have been successful in its current design if it was a peer-to-peer cash. But me, like others, believe that Bitcoin does have a higher calling. I think the higher calling is a store of value. And so as a result, it's just not sustainable as a store of value. And we're starting to see that. And miners, they have different kinds of business models to support their business. Mm-hmm. And it's not just mining Bitcoin, it's mining all these other things. It's even taking, one form of bribes in order to mine this transaction over the other, right? And so they're trying to sustain themselves.
Yeah.
And it's a representative of a long-term problem.
Yeah, we're nowhere near 2140, right? And it's already, the cracks or the seams are already splitting. You could see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were the United States or anyone up there smart enough, I think they know this, and this would be one of their concerns. But because Bitcoin is such a big network, it has like network effects, and the benefit of a network effect is that it has an immune system.
It's funny you say immune system because, one of the champions and heroes of today, Michael Saylor, he's used that same analogy, but in the opposite direction. It's actually the NOTs guys.
Oh, that's the immune system?
That's the immune system in response.
Wow.
It's like, do we not have the clips? Yeah. Bring out the clips, dude. Because it's funny because Michael Saylor, I remember about a year and a half ago or so during like the peak of ordinals.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to talk about this in Thursday's video.
No time, dude. No time. That's what the podcast is for. But yeah, it's like,
let me play this. That way everyone gets context here. So
there's a video before.
Okay, so let's set it up. So today, so he was in New York or Washington D.C., wherever he is right now, and someone asked him, "Hey, well, what's your opinion on core versus knots?" So let's hear him out. Here we go.
And so I think protocol proposals, however well-intentioned, can go horribly wrong. And I think that this debate we see right now over op return limits, this is actually a second order or maybe even a third order change. It's not changing, it's not changing the amount of Bitcoin, which of course is an atomic zero order change. It's not changing the block size, which is a first order change. It's somewhere in the second and a half to third order, but the reaction of the community, which is, to reject it, an inflammatory reaction, I thought was a healthy response. It's healthy to be skeptical of a third order change to the protocol, right? Because it might become a second order change, and and if it's a first order change, it puts everything at risk. And the biggest danger is a very talented, well-funded, well-intentioned developer trying to do something good. That's the danger, right? And that is fundamentally the issue, which is a very competent, well-funded, well-intentioned developer that wants to upgrade the protocol. That is the risk. The risk is, I've said this tongue-in-cheek before in my long business career, I don't regret my bad ideas because no one's stupid enough to pursue their bad ideas. I regret all of the good ideas that I pursued to the detriment of my great idea. Like, it's the good ideas that actually dilute the product, dilute the brand, dilute the network, and destroy the company. The good ideas will destroy the company. The good idea for Bitcoin will destroy Bitcoin. If I wanted to destroy Bitcoin, I would just fund infinite developers who are very talented and tell them to make it better.
Wow.
And so
so I don't know the context of this, and I don't want to take this out of context, so my opinions are have a right to change. I don't think he's referring to the immune response being knots here.
There's another clip somewhere where I'm not sure where I saw it, but maybe it was I heard something in lines of that is the immune response in action.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was Michael Saylor, but still, the substance of this clip alone is...
It's odd because the history is everyone's been using core, and then now they're like diversifying the application here. So that's why I don't think the immune response is NOTs here.
Well, it is in the context of what he's saying, right? He's alluding to the idea that, you know, innovation can be like, or the attempt at innovation can be a detriment to like the thing that makes that, in a company's case, you know, its core value as a company, it could disrupt that or, you know, dilute it, as he said, right? And
yeah.
that's another way of basically advocating for complacency, right? In my mind.
Yeah, ossification, as they say, of Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, it's like, hey, I'm Apple. It's like the Apple II is
the best computer ever. We won't need anything else.
Yeah, we shouldn't like push forward any other good ideas that could potentially lead us into a more optimal future for as a company, right? It's like we should just stay with the original product that is tremendously valuable to our company.
Mm-hmm.
And those within the company who are trying to advocate for some new product direction or something, those are actually attempts to attack this company.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
So basically, let's stay with Blockbuster.
Let's not listen to these Netflix guys that came into our office and say, guys, the future, it looks bleak for you guys in the context of like where the internet is headed.
You should just buy us for $1 billion. And they're like,
I think it was like 50 million or something.
yeah.
What a fumble, dude. Blockbuster they heard that. There's some guys coming and telling them what your business trajectory is running into a dead end. And we know this because, you know, we come from the internet era. You guys do not.
We're 25 years younger than you.
Yeah, we see 25 years into the future where distribution is no longer hand
Physical.
and foot.
Yeah.
It is digital. So here we are with this package technology. You guys already have the market monopoly.
Blockbuster is a great name too.
Oh my God.
That would have been a long-lasting brand.
Yes, Disney.
Yeah.
Disney of our time when it comes to like consuming entertainment.
100%.
Way better. Well, Netflix is not bad too. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. I think you're just fetishizing that smell of
Nostalgia?
popcorn
That's the
and
nostalgia for sure.
the good times we had as kids, right? There was no better time.
I know. I was excited to go to Blockbuster
Fuck yeah.
every weekend. Come on. That
Yeah,
was the best
just
part.
Go up and down the video game aisle.
You'd hope that your game was there.
Never
Sometimes,
was.
yeah, it never was.
Yeah, shit like that, right? Good times. But Blockbuster actively chose to ignore the reality situation that they were heading towards and to fade innovation and other good ideas and enact to remain complacent because that was working at the time.
Yeah.
We don't want to disrupt that in any way
Yeah.
because, you know, it's just the nature of what happens in humanity's case. Like whenever things tend to work, you tend to resist any form of change, right? But that decision would have saved their company.
It would have.
Ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bitcoin is facing a similar scenario where the majority of these Bitcoiners, they choosing to ignore the reality of the situation
Yep.
and scoff at the idea of innovation.
Yep.
And you know, again, remain blindly faithful to the optimal outcome, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
fingers crossed that things work itself out into the future.
yeah. Yeah. I can imagine the Blockbuster execs crossing their fingers. and then it's like, yeah, I guess we lost.
I don't know.
And there's like one more Blockbuster left in Alaska or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. That's going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't going to work by itself.
Right.
That could be Bitcoin. It could fail. Like it's not this runaway success that people are making it out to be. Like a lot of people need to continuously work on it.
Yeah. So, you know, as rich as Michael Saylor is, as impactful his digital asset treasury strategy has become, and, you know, his efforts to now, again, ingrain Bitcoin into the financial molding of society, like all that will be true. Like that is his, the significance of his impact in like the time chain of
Yeah.
humanity. But still, like, the that could not be enough.
Yeah.
Right? And it could be veering Bitcoin into an even more not sustainable or not optimal direction, depending on what line of the fence you kind of align with, right? Is it the ethos of Bitcoin, or is it just, I don't care about that, I am only interested in number go up technology?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't care if the United States is selflessly running the Bitcoin network at a loss.
That makes it even more sound.
As long as my bag is worth billions of dollars.
Yeah. And in Michael Saylor's case, he has now shareholders, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen in this repeat over and over and over again, once you have shareholder interest, you tend to act in opposition to humanity's for the greater good of humanity, and you more so favor like the bottom line just to satisfy your shareholders, right? Like this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it could be happening again, and people celebrate it because number go up.
Yeah, I mean, so he said that, roughly today, and then this is what he said about a year ago.
The question of ordinals inscriptions is important to Bitcoin for two reasons. One, for Bitcoin to be successful over the long term, the Bitcoin miners have to be successful. And two, for Bitcoin to scale to 8 billion people and be embraced by every company, every government, every person on Earth, we need to build applications on the layer 2 and the layer 3 in order to extend the functionality and the performance and the scalability of Bitcoin. So if I were to basically discourage application development, I would be making it harder to scale to 8 billion people, and I would also be destroying the Bitcoin mining network.
So it seems like his mind has changed. I just don't know the context of, the question here and how it's come about.
Yeah, but again, remember the context of, when these statements were made during like a period where
it was actually generating fees to sustain the network.
At least perceptively, right? Even though it was like there's dramatic up and down periods, still it's like ordinals and things like runes and other meta protocols that were competing for market share dominance.
Mm-hmm.
They're proving the thesis. It's like, hey, we can create value from Bitcoin independent of just its monetary, utility, right?
Yeah, I think you still can.
Absolutely, right. But now it's like it's not as advantageous to kind of like align yourself with that belief, that core belief,
yeah.
Because it's go look at the damn mempool, dude. Go look at the charts, the dashboards. It's all dead,
super dead.
So why would you position yourself with something that looks dead today in comparison to something that didn't in the past, right?
So Michael Saylor's famous now because he's acquiring Bitcoin, a leveraged strategy here. But what if he acquires NAT in his treasury?
What do you mean? Like, what are the implications of that?
Yeah.
I think that would be him acknowledging, again, the thesis. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's him changing his mind
again. Third time.
Which, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you can change your mind.
Yeah, that's actually a sign of intelligence. Is the ability to admit that you're wrong and to adjust accordingly.
The person that doesn't change their mind is probably always wrong.
Yeah, you're only an idealist at that point. Like, you're not a pragmatist.
Yeah.
Right. In the evidence of abundant and clear data, you should react accordingly. Yeah, and if the data, because he mentions it, like he acknowledges the sustainability problem for miners, right? And then in that second clip, he equates the inscription movement as a net good in an effort to try and address those problems, right?
Yeah, that's why I think, and I'm speculating here. I haven't watched this longer YouTube video. I guess we should have, but I speculate that his idea, his position hasn't really changed from. I don't think it's changed, but I could be totally wrong. I think Michael Saylor.
Yeah, maybe.
He could have so much Bitcoin that he's afraid of if it changes, it could just like wreck everything, and so he's sort of against changing stuff.
Yeah, and this whole op return thing is like a new thing, right? Like inscriptions was already like spilt milk at the time.
Yeah,
it was a result of Taproot's upgrade, right? But this is like a new proposition on the horizon, right? In which why there's contentious debate around it.
Yeah.
Because the acknowledgement is, I guess, or the assumption, it's like for sure this core update will increase the proliferation of what it is inscriptions are capable of, right? Like for sure.
Yeah.
It will do that. So I guess maybe he's saying like, I don't know, we've had enough of these like unforeseeable alterations. Like, not everybody expected, what happened as a result of Taproot to happen. So it's like we could be doing it again. It's like,
Taproot was launched in 2021, and then it took over a year before Ordinals was released. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so in his mind, it's like, dude, we got a good thing going here, guys, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They're letting me into the White House. It's pretty fucking awesome over here.
Yeah.
When you hold this much Bitcoin, it's fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
So you guys over there tinkering about.
Yeah, with your pictures and
your whatevers.
Yeah.
Maybe your nats. That one day I will eventually end up stockpiling. Who knows?
It's inevitable.
Once the data starts to align even more heavily into the thesis of what NAT does.
Yeah.
And it becomes unavoidable. And it's like, okay, there is nothing else we could do other than altering these consensus rules or disrupting like the economic viability of Bitcoin entirely.
Yeah. The zero order.
Yeah.
Right. As he says.
That's right. That's layer 0, right?
Yeah.
Of like disruptive alterations. So yeah, we don't want to do that. Let's maybe embrace this thing that doesn't fuck with anything.
Yes.
It's already there, and miners are already adopting
They're
it.
using it already.
Yeah, and it's proving to be beneficial to the overall state, the health state of this thing that I cherish so much that gets me into these White House dinners. Right? I want more dinners, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, the United States, Van Eck here, they are proposing that the United States, even Michael Saylor was in Washington, D.C. proposing the same thing. It's like if the United States acquires 1 to 1.5 million Bitcoin and it grows at its current trajectory at 30%, the United States has officially balanced their budget. A situation that really has not happened before.
Yeah, but again, assume that debt will probably at minimum double by then too, right?
Well, it has doubled, right?
Oh, that's 2049.
That's 2049. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, they accounted for that.
Yeah. So
Actually,
2049
that's more than double, right?
Yeah. So 2049 means a compound annual growth rate from $36 trillion at 5%.
Gotcha.
So if it's 7.5%, you're looking at 200 trillion.
Damn. You got to pump way more dollars into Bitcoin then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's, you could see if the United States does acquire this strategy, then you could see them printing more dollars, thereby making the compounded growth rate closer to 35. And then now you have complete parity.
Yeah. Yeah. So circling back to the white paper, having these discussions, there's a new component that didn't exist last week. It's called the preface.
Yeah.
It literally outlines just everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
And we felt like it needed to be included as almost like just kind of like get your appetites a little wet. Like, wet your chops up a little bit. Prefaces usually, from my experience with books, it's like, you can either choose to read this or not. I usually skip past that because it's like an author message.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Well, this is the message.
Yeah, this is kind of like, this is what we see happening, right? And this is why we think it's important that NAT exists versus it not existing. Right?
Yeah, so this preface goes into the thesis that the United States adopting Bitcoin, right? And the long-term effects of that. And so I think the picture at the very end really paints the picture, right? So here we are on Bitcoin's timeline, and here we are forking, and Bitcoin centralized by nation states. And then here we are. Bitcoin became a Ponzi for the US dollar. And then this guy says Bitcoin became a Ponzi for the US dollar.
That's right.
So here are the Bitcoin holders who are happy that Bitcoin is a Ponzi for the US dollar and then sad that it's a Ponzi for the US dollar.
Yeah, ultimately this meme reflects the philosophical question at hand, right? Like who are you?
Yeah, which side of the bus are you going to be sitting on? And
pretty much.
You could argue that neither side is good, right? Some would say that. And then down here, the fork, it says society if Bitcoin mining is sustainable. So this is Bitcoin decentralized.
Yeah, meaning like we actually figure out the incentive alignment again. Like, this leads us into what is NAT, right? Like that is the premise behind NAT. It is the solution to that. And we think it's important to maintain the original ethos behind Bitcoin no matter what, right? And the only way to do that is through proper incentives. Otherwise, we were inevitably leading down to this path, this other side of the fork.
Yeah, so we say inevitably because, I mean, if I were the United States, this is the strategy I would be taking.
Yeah, because they're also on a path of no return.
100%.
Like, what are they going to do if not this?
Yeah, they're just going to continue printing their dollars. Like, that's what they have been doing. That's what every fiat currency has done in the past. Mm-hmm. And all of them have failed in the past. And the US dollar is no different.
Yeah. And again, this is very deeply philosophical and ethics driven. Like everybody needs to like be a little introspective here in their thoughts when you think about NAT, right? Again, your chops a bit because maybe the best outcome is for Bitcoin to become this
a nation state,
the center point of a financial apparatus because it extends like the US dollar dominance. You understand what the last 100 years of that has been. It's been like I don't want to say the most peaceful period of humans like existence. I think
it could be maybe.
Well,
in the context of humanity's existence,
I think it is. If you look at the statistics, I think it has been. Obviously not for every corner of Earth. There's been tons of non-peaceful occurrences, but
but overall, if you take a snapshot of every 100 years, is there more damage or less damage this past 100 years than previous?
Yeah, and then like analyze history. Anytime there's like a shift in power like this, like there's always a tremendous fallout of like disruptive mass casualties, whatever, right? Yeah. It's like the consequence of the dollar not sustaining its global supremacy as the,
global police.
Means there's a reshuffling of power afoot ahead of us. And, in context of what technology is today, that's may not be good. So maybe like this is the better outcome.
Yeah.
In context of that, like, this is the things I've been thinking about.
Yeah, and if Bitcoin doesn't work, I guess we're all shifting to bricks, right?
Bottle caps? You're trading bottle caps and seeds? Seed banks? Yeah, so start hoarding your seeds now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
collect your pigs?
Yeah, your chickens, all of that, dude, because maybe both of these outcomes end up bad.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? But, yeah, so this is what we've been thinking about a lot. It makes me realize how much of a bigger deal NAT actually is than
I think
some crypto experiment, some blockchain project.
Yeah.
If NAT actually fulfills what's outlined here, like we're talking real systemic order, contributing to like humanity's trajectory.
Because ultimately, if the United States is failing and it's failing in the trajectory of a well-reserved currency, if it's not the dollar, then what is it? And Bitcoiners are going to suspect the world-reserved currency is going to be Bitcoin because it's completely independent from the United States and any other country. And if Bitcoin didn't exist, you might see another world war here. But because Bitcoin does exist, we might not see so many casualties. Mm-hmm. And China and Russia and all these countries will have no choice but to adopt Bitcoin. And that's going to be the world's monetary layer. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the case, if you're the United States and you know that this is the likely outcome, then you're going to acquire Bitcoin. And if you're going to acquire Bitcoin and the other countries also do the same thing, the value of Bitcoin continues to go up. And so they're going to take advantage of that because the United States is not dumb.
Yeah.
They're going to take advantage of that. So once they do, then that really resets the whole game for the United States, because now they are creating policies like the Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act, and they're giving companies the opportunity to distribute stablecoins. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that, and you kind of funnel that distribution to companies that are on average, when Bitcoin sees new money, on average it consumes like a 10 out of 1 absorption of new liquidity. And so if that's the case, Bitcoin continues to rise and therefore balances the debt ratio for the United States.
Yeah.
So then, our thesis here is that it is incentivized to run the Bitcoin network even at a loss. But the result of that is Bitcoin becomes centralized and ultimately not what we want Bitcoin to be. So now it talks about how we can focus Bitcoin towards a direction where it maintains decentralization through a second subsidy of NAT.
Yeah, which we've explained in the part 1 section. I don't think we've added too much newness here other than look at that nice little new animation here.
It's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, we really wanted to keep the reader engaged here. Right? We might have created like a little too many like Ferris wheels in that attempt. But I don't know. It works on us, right? Like as we read along, it's like, all right, things are happening.
Yeah.
Right? I want to discover the next thing in motion here. Right. It's cool. This to us is like, I think this is the best way we could have, presented this thesis other than, the typical, very dry, just walls of text.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't fun for us to just write the NATpaper if it's just a bunch of walls of text.
Yeah. It's like we want something to represent
more engaging.
What's being said. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe this becomes a new way to write white papers.
Or not. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, we left off last time. So we went through all this, and we were at the section of Nat's origin story, I believe.
Yeah, so Bitcoin is Nat's source data. So the bits field.
Mm-hmm. We went through that, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Nat, another air coin. Oh, yeah. So this is where Adam Back assumes. Oh, yeah, we talked about this too, where Adam Back assumes that this is just an air coin.
Yeah, which was a direct attack at the fundamental value proposition of NAT itself. So that was like a first principles breakdown of why, NAT's value will appreciate over time in context of it being a direct subsidy solution to that core problem, and that self-fulfilling reinforcement loop between, people seeing the problem, people purchasing NAT to contribute to the solution of that problem. Therefore, the product of it being the market cap itself is that rise in value.
Yeah.
It's just continually reinforcing the value delivery to the mining network itself, therefore enhancing the security layer, right? And it's like, just keeps on going.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've seen things like PayPay and such get to multi-billion-dollar valuations without anything like that.
Yeah.
Attributing to its value.
No solution. It's just social awareness.
Yeah, which is another tranche of value in society, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Culture, without a doubt, represents value.
Yeah, Doge is the best example. 40 billion. Now all of a sudden there's a government institution called Department of Government Efficiency.
You got the richest man on earth who agrees this thing's hilarious.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm gonna send it actually to Mars somehow.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? Like
that has some value.
That's the end result of something like a meme hitting that tranche of value perception, right? $100 billion of perceivable value in a meme.
Yeah.
So we're saying, the outcome of $100 billion NAT is that plus
security,
so much more.
Security for Bitcoin.
Security for Bitcoin and the introduction of a whole new asset class and dynamics to the digital universe, right?
Yeah, at $100 billion, so that is 100. So $1 trillion is $1 million per block.
Yeah.
So that's $100,000 per block.
At 100 billion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a third of what miners are currently
Yeah.
receiving just off of pure Bitcoin subsidy rewards itself at a
Yeah.
$2 trillion market cap. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there is that 10-to-1 ratio that makes things perceivably in parity with one another as far as Bitcoin and NAT valuation goes.
Yeah.
Where you only need a tenth of the value of Bitcoin in the case of NAT to essentially achieve the same impact as a subsidy that's intended to contribute to securing the network.
Yeah. So 200 billion turns into $200,000 per block.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so, now things like fees are not like that dire as they used to be. Like fees being the ultimate end game for sustainability.
Yeah.
It's like there's a new device in play, right?
Yeah, so that effectively doubles the revenues roughly for the miners, doubles it.
So what do you think happens there?
So they buy more mining rigs to secure the network.
Yeah. Therefore, like they're keeping along the pace of that diminishing returns, I guess, for technology.
Yeah, so the deflationary aspect of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because new hardware is going to be created. That hardware is more efficient. It generates more hash power, therefore makes their business a little bit easier to run, increasing the security of Bitcoin. And they need to run that over and over again as the deflationary aspect of technology continues.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense that doubling their revenue is going to lead to a more secure Bitcoin, and therefore less the amount of inflation of NAT goes down, just because Bitsfield makes it it is tied to the hash power of Bitcoin.
Yeah, then that attributes to, again, our understanding of fundamental value, right? Like a huge component to why somebody like Adam Back or others would say, NAT is another air coin versus Bitcoin, which is objectively not, is because of the scarcity component of Bitcoin itself. It's arbitrarily designed that way, right?
Yeah.
By leveraging the non-arbitrary properties of the bits field, we have a similar dynamic where as it fulfills its purpose and utility of securing the network, therefore driving the continuation of hash rate increase over time, those emissions reduce and compress to a state where NAT enters like a non-renewable state in comparison to what it has been over the last 15 years, because it has been propagating since the beginning of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and if miners decide to turn off their systems, that means that the bits field adjusts the difficulty adjustment, and therefore produces a little bit more NAT, just so that it maintains that parity where the demand goes down, supply goes up, right? So this is like built into Bitcoin, and it was just discovered.
Yeah. So the next one is, okay, fine. Sure, block runner guys. I agree. There's some potential fundamental value there. Now, tell me how much of the supply you guys got. Yeah. Tell me about your VCs. How much they got?
Yeah.
Surely this doesn't have the immaculate ethics that Bitcoin has, right?
Yeah, which is why we probably need to rename this to Immaculate Ethics, because it was launched on November 20th, 2023. Anyone could mint NAT by inscribing JSON data into Bitcoin transactions, which claimed a Bitcoin block. And then the starting point, block 817,706, which meant all past blocks up to that point, plus all new blocks created every 10 minutes were available to claim. And then the participation, over 20,000 people joined minting all available Bitcoin blocks in just 7 days, paying over 5 million in Bitcoin network fees. So we hold no more than anyone else, and this is a completely free and fair token, and the fees were paid directly to Bitcoin miners.
Yeah, it was all documented on our channel.
Yeah, we ran this live practically.
Yeah, and then there's a pretty sizable community that can vouch for, that is how the origin story played out.
Yeah,
because again, 20,000 people, were paying attention during those times.
Yeah, you can visit Tapalytics to verify for yourself. Tapalytics, and if you find DMT NAT on here, Let's see. Well, looks like Tapalytics is down.
Oh joy, dude! What timing?
I mean, that means they're getting banged right now. Well, let's check out NatGMI real quick. Yeah, so on Tapalytics, it shows you the list of holders, and you could see that the top two, they barely hold 1% of the supply.
Yeah,
and the top one for sure minted within those 7 days. I don't know about the second one. The second one might be a new entrance, but yeah, 1%, like that's nothing. And so overall, Bitcoin NAT is being directed to the miners at a 5% inflation rate. So distributed to the top 20 miners, they get their proportion based on their hash power, and 5% sell pressure is nothing either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk about immaculate launch here.
Yeah, and as we've seen, as miners do become aware of their holdings that are being distributed per block, the act of them selling hasn't been like a negative catalyst, at least so far.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, because of this announcement with Spiderpool, it's gone up from 18 to 23.
Very good. Yeah, very good to see. What else? So yeah, again, all that has been documented, the actual origins of the distribution behind NAT. So it's free and fair distribution. There is no VC alignment. There is no massive allocation that we could feasibly be holding. It's all transparent.
Yeah.
And that leads into, and by the way, that was called a blockout. So it introduced a new concept in the world of issuing assets, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The idea of claiming the blocks of Bitcoin in order to manifest digital presence, if you will.
Yeah.
That is kind of like the underlying premise of the digital matter theory protocol, which is what underpins this whole story.
Yeah,
right?
Correct. Yeah, so that was a blockout. The first one was Bitmap. That one took about a month. And then this one was launched. This one took 7 days. And yeah, I mean, that's what a blockout means. It's a complete open minting process.
It's a pretty groovy animation here, dude. I like how you added in this like tactile experience, Maybe the mobile version of this, it's like, how Pump is like pinging you nonstop.
Yeah.
He's like, as you're like, it's like shocking you as you're interacting with things.
Yeah.
That seems to be the new way.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the blockout, and then we're here at the Natstoppable force. So this is probably the most important part of the white paper, because it has open source principles, right? So if I read here, the TAP protocol developed by pseudonymous creator Benny the Dev leverages Bitcoin security and immutability. This infrastructure inherently ties NAT transactions to a secure Bitcoin-backed layer, amplifying its alignment with Bitcoin's principles. So the key aspects include validation process, community oversight, and scalability. So here we're going to include a link to the open source docs for the TAP indexer. And all this does, it just reads the Bitcoin blockchain, but it reads it with a language of DMT, meaning the meta protocol of DMT is programmed into this open source technology that you can run yourself. And so all that does is you run a Bitcoin node, or Bitcoin core, and you download all the information from Bitcoin, and then you run the TAP indexer to read the data from Bitcoin core, and you can recreate the balances that exist today for NAT and any other DMT asset, really. And so you don't have to trust us with any balances. You could just run it yourself and verify it yourself. And so that is the point of this open source technology. And once it's out, I mean, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else left, specifically for NAT.
It's Natstoppable, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which I think we needed to achieve. This is another major milestone for the story of NAT, in order for it to align as closely to what makes Bitcoin so unique in the scope of human achievements. And we boiled it down to these 3 pillars, right? It's censorship resistance, again, which could be in peril in the future if we go down the wrong path.
Yeah.
And
Decentralization,
and its transparency. Right?
Yeah.
These are all core things that, and then post this open source contribution by Benny and the TAP protocol. Essentially, it puts NAT into that same state.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's core. It's essential for people to have trust.
Yeah.
That this is actually a forever component of the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean it's all on chain, right? All the transactions that occur from minting to transferring, everything is legible on the Bitcoin blockchain. So all this indexer does is just read the data and recreates the entire history. And so that's how you can know the balances are correct.
Yeah, let's experience these tactile editions here.
Yeah, you like that, dude?
I do like that. That one definitely should be shocking you.
Censor-proof orange dots, dude. They can't be censored.
Yeah, it's like, ew, get away from me.
Yeah. And then the next one.
Get away from me, KYC.
What does this say, dude?
Are you NAT entertained?
Right.
I'm very entertained, but yeah.
Yeah, so this is the transparency part, so.
I get it.
Yeah, clear glass, dude.
I get it. I see the vision, dude. It's very. What about the exchange of fluids over here? Yeah. What's being packaged back and forth?
Well, Bitcoin
is what you explained already.
Yeah, Bitcoin is sending out DMT stuff, and then NAT is returning its security proposition to Bitcoin.
Beautiful. Now that is that's
everything you need to know.
A beautiful act of love right there, dude. That's what that is. That's our true love message to Bitcoin, dude. We couldn't have bonded any harder.
I mean, that came from Bitcoin. All we did was just discover it. It's been there, really.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, so continuing on. Not the end of the story, though. So it's not over here. It says digital matter theory interchain application.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where we're getting into the realms of, again, NAT already has like a tremendous value proposition in itself, but the underlying, properties of what it is it's unlocked, and the understanding of Bitcoin is more than just money, right? It is a substrate of value that is rooted in its thermodynamic properties that, again, humanity is collectively contributing to over time.
Yeah, 183 not terahashes. What's it called? Terawatt hours.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a lot of terawatt hours.
It's a lot of energy,
yeah.
Right? That's a lot of energy value backing this substrate that we're describing and now utilizing for NAT itself, right? So in our eyes, this is something that we could also harness in the context of like the broader crypto ecosystem.
Yeah.
To, create new vectors of value abroad outside of the scope of Bitcoin itself.
Yeah.
Because remember, Bitcoin has 2 trillion in value, but the rest of crypto also is around 2 trillion in value.
That's right.
That's not something to be ignored or forgotten about.
If you like Bitcoin because it's 2 trillion, that means you like altcoins because it's 2 trillion.
Not in all cases.
Yeah.
But
the market says something to pay attention to.
Yeah, the market is usually always right.
Yeah.
So the market has deemed all the other stuff, also tremendously valuable.
Yeah.
So assume that's not going away. Just like assume Bitcoin won't go away so long as it figures out its core economic dilemmas.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's summarize this section here. So ultimately, what do we mean by not the end of the story, the application of Bitcoin ethos to all of crypto? So this isn't to suggest that you could just use DMT and all these chains from the native chain. What we're suggesting here is you use Bitcoin as the substrate layer that can be utilized on other chains. And so the way they can be utilized is metaverse and gaming, right? AI, digital art, prediction markets, DeFi, right? It's all here explained in a way where you're leveraging Bitcoin's immutable properties and block data to produce assets on other chains. And so that's the interchain connection between Bitcoin and all these other chains here.
Yeah, which means, there is a little bit of some, also economic sticky points there again, because whatever value ends up being created by application developers who see the value of the substrate layer that can be applied, whether it's they're building a game. The example of that would be some pattern on Bitcoin triggers the proliferation of some natural resource within this game.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all on-chain transactions that could be occurring on, the, say, Solana. This app is built on Solana.
Yeah.
Those are fees. And through smart contract logic, you can redirect some of those fees
100%.
to essentially purchase and burn NAT, right? Which is this flywheel in motion.
Yeah, so you're talking about this NAT wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine a Web3 app in Solana creates its application. People use it. It generates revenue. That revenue has come from the aspects of utilizing DMT. That a portion of the revenue goes to buy NAT, thereby powering Bitcoin, producing a better substrate of DMT, going back to the application using DMT, and you got this flywheel where by taking value from Bitcoin in the form of DMT and utilizing it and creating value with it, you are supplying value back to Bitcoin by buying NAT.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? Because, you could say similar things to like L2s.
Yeah.
Or L3s or whatever that leverage, base layer infrastructures like blockchains, like, Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. You would expect them to do the similar things, because the packaging of transactions into rollups doesn't necessarily deliver, the proper compensation for
L2s and L3s. They've been considered as parasites,
right? Yeah, vampiric, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? So this is not that.
Yeah, this is not that because it's minimally invasive.
Correct.
And so we explain here. So we're going to let you guys read it once this is released, but it's minimally invasive in the fact that it doesn't require a ton of transactions on Bitcoin clogging the network, right? It doesn't require people to actually pay fees on the Bitcoin network itself to supply value back to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And all of this activity can happen on other chains where they're designed for the metaverse. They're designed for DeFi. They're designed for these application grade developers to build applications for that respective network, but utilizing the substrate layer of Bitcoin to create new stuff, right? The lacking commodity here in crypto is new stuff. And so create that new stuff with DMT, you buy back NAT, thereby taking value from Bitcoin and returning value back.
Yeah, there's a chart above this section that kind of breaks down just based on current day on-chain volumes, right? And this is excluding what's happening for Bitcoin itself, right? So, it breaks down the last 4 years of on-chain volumes, obviously 2024 being a big year with 25.71 trillion in on-chain volume, right? So if you impose these theoretical, what we call tariffs, because it's kind of like what it is, and this is kind of what we want people to understand is like Bitcoin actually has exportable value that has been completely underutilized, or it just hasn't even existed. It hasn't been part of the economic molding of understanding of what Bitcoin can offer to the universe, really, specifically the digital space. And so this is the value that the existing arbitrary landscape generates on an annual basis.
Yeah.
You just apply these different scaled tariffs at the protocol level. And if you achieve parity, like a theoretical state of parity, say that the non-arbitrary crypto landscape is also generating these types of volumes, the results of that are tremendous. Like this is the amount of value that gets directed back to the miners.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so if you look at the tariffs at 0.05%, 0.1, and 0.25, and the given year, it continuously goes up, the amount of volume that occurs on activity. I mean, you're talking about at least doubling the miners' revenue as a result of developers building DMT somewhere else. And this is huge, right? This is the substrate layer economy happening and being utilized and returning value back to Bitcoin and not being some sort of vampiric attack.
Yeah, so this is the subsequent follow-up that we are, again, anticipating as a result of NAT fulfilling some type of milestone, or maybe it's $1 billion market cap. Maybe at that point, the ecosystem of crypto takes notice, and then they realize, there is an open source protocol here that can be utilized on other within other ecosystems, not relying on Bitcoin, right? And therefore, these rails of value delivery to Bitcoin can be positioned so that it's essentially systemic, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is all driving value for NAT so that it gets it to a point of sustainability and a complete like infrastructure adoption across the board, not just miners, but like essentially anybody who believes like this is a superior model or methodology to digital creation, which there's a lot of reasons to believe that, right? If you bought a NatCat in the past, you probably think that is a way more interesting way to experience digital art than just something, you know, some artist arbitrarily put together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the idea of art proliferating so long as Bitcoin stays alive.
Yeah. 100%. Right?
Yeah,
you're incentivized now to support Bitcoin, right? Under that design. So yeah, this is the ultimate takeaway is that DMT and NAT, they provide this like future looking application for developers to leverage on their own respective chains, and the ability to, because of NAT, it's a token itself, it can be ported to multiple chains and therefore buy back and contribute to the value of the underlying asset of NAT and Bitcoin. And so this plays a huge role in the ultimate sustainability of Bitcoin. So this is a pretty fun read. As you can tell, there's a lot of stuff to kind of look at, and but definitely recommend you guys read the preface.
Well, yeah,
it's a fun read.
Yeah, don't be like me. Don't skip those pages.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but whatever, dude. And so, yeah.
So the last thing we're waiting for is the open source link for Benny. He said it's going to be done in the next week or two. So once that's done, I think we're going to push this live and then get everybody's feedback.
And that's it, dude. From that point forward, it's literally out of our hands.
Yep.
It's Natstoppable.
That's right. Yeah.
And maybe Natnevitable too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Natnevitable.
Natnevitable? I don't know. One of those words.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us. If you have any questions on Bitcoin, DMT, NAT, definitely hit us up. If you're a miner and you want access to your funds and you don't know how to get access to it, well, hit us up. We'll connect you to the right spots. It's pretty easy to move. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.